I kind of use myth and story as a kind of an imaginative space so that I can enter there, and these kind of myths that are supposed to be timeless, I find that you can enter them and change them over time. You know, that anything can be entered, any story, because I hear a lot of stories, you know, from when I was a child, and each time they're told, they're different. So people add and embroider onto stories, and for me, yeah, that's really good in terms of making art, because you get into the myth and you can change it and you can reconstruct it and you can give a different ending to the story. Les filles d'Uranus, yeah, so in English obviously that means the daughters of Uranus, who was in one of the ancient archaic gods, and his brother killed him by chopping off his genitals, threw them into the ocean, and from that foam arose Aphrodite, or Venus, the goddess of love and the epitome of female beauty, which has come down to us through the centuries. If you think of Botticelli's painting, for instance, of the birth of Venus. So I guess I'm playing with the idea of there not being one type of beauty or one type of femininity, one type of anything. And that's why you have multiples in my work here rather than one image of beauty. Well, they are not showing their bodies. So the Aphrodite rose from the waves as the epitome of beauty, you know, her hair, her youth, every way she looks. Whereas these people, these women are staying in their element. They've chosen to do that. They can rise if they want, but they're possibly comfortable in their own element. So drawing is a big part, and always has been, you know, of my practice. And it's I use drawing because it's kind of an intimate way of communicating. Also, it's just you and your piece of charcoal. And when you're drawing, I think you can enter states that you may not be able to enter, for instance, when you're doing something like painting, where you have to make choices, you know, about colors and composition. But with drawing, you're very connected to your medium, physically connected and kind of emotionally connected. So that is why I use drawing in my practice. In this digital era, physical connection to drawing or to work is even more important than it ever was. The map is a monumental textile sculpture made in collaboration with artist Rachel Fallon. So the map is hand-sewn by both of us, mostly hand-sewn, over a 3-year period. So we made it during COVID, you know, during the lockdowns of COVID. And the map looks at the life and legacy of Mary Magdalene and what that means for women today. So you might know that in our country we have a terrible legacy of these places, institutions called Magdalene laundries, where women who were considered fallen women, and that would be comparing them to a Magdalene or a penitent figure, was institutionalized, you know, and forced labor, and perhaps her baby taken from her and kind of sold into adoption. Rachel and I met each other as activists on the Artist campaign to repeal the 8th Amendment of the Irish Constitution. So that amendment absolutely forbade abortion in any circumstances. So we were fighting, you know, that campaign, and actually was successful. So in 2018, that law was abolished, that amendment, and you know, now there is more equality in terms of reproductive rights in Ireland. But then we began to work together on this subject of Mary Magdalene, which is like a follow-through, I suppose, from that campaign in terms of using textiles, because during that campaign we made the banners and the things which you carry in the street. So we decided to use cartography as a kind of structure on which to base our story of Mary Magdalene. But our cartography, our map, doesn't have any north, south, east or west. It doesn't have any indication of where the middle is or where the top is. So you can enter it, you know, at any point. And that's kind of what we hope for people would bring to the map, you know, their own association perhaps with Mary Magdalene. or their own association with sewing, or their own association with maps, and bring that to that piece, and that it would be a kind of a rich and complex experience for them, rather than anything didactic, or anything telling them how to think or what to think, or giving them a history of anything. It's like opening doors for people so that they can enter that story from their own point of view. I guess you can learn that nothing is forever, that things can be changed, and that no matter what situation you find yourself in, and I'm probably talking about human rights now, or women's rights perhaps in particular, that you can change, things can be changed, so that's where I kind of sit, I think, in terms of being an artist and sometimes activist.